Earth was quiet, at least from the outside, from far away. It looked like a small blue and green marble drifting in space. The oceans shone under the sunlight. The white clouds moved slowly over the lands. There were no giant space stations orbiting. No glowing trade hubs, no fleets coming and going to the rest of the galaxy. It was nothing special, just another backwater world far from the core. Most aliens in the Galactic Council never even spoke its name. When they did, it was only to mock it, calling it a primitive rock filled with noisy animals. The Council had bigger problems. They ruled over thousands of star systems, dealt with complex trade laws, dangerous pirate factions, and endless political games. Earth, to them, was like a small village no one bothered to visit. It had no advanced wormhole gates, no exotic resources worth fighting for. The only thing it had was a stubborn local population, humans. A species known for short tempers, curiosity, and endless wars with each other. To the Council, humans were too busy fighting themselves to ever be a threat. But the galaxy was wrong, deep under Earth's cities, far below the ocean floors, and hidden inside mountains. A secret network was alive. For decades, humans had been building something. It started quietly. In hidden research stations after the first alien probe was spotted near Pluto, the governments told the public it was just space junk. But the truth was far more serious. That probe had not come from the solar system, and it had scanned Earth before vanishing into the dark the moment it left. The most powerful human leaders met in secret. They called it the Silent Council. And their mission was simple: make sure Earth would never be helpless if the aliens returned. Years passed, and the Silent Council worked in shadows. They united the brightest scientists, the most skilled engineers, and the most disciplined soldiers. They built weapons the public had never heard of. Mass drivers hidden under deserts, energy shields disguised as weather stations, and stealth fleets parked behind the moon. On the surface, Earth still looked small and peaceful. But beneath the calm, it was a coiled spring waiting to strike. Then, one cold night in early winter, the warning came. The deep space array on the far side of the moon picked up strange movements beyond Neptune. At first, it looked like asteroids. But their speed was wrong. Asteroids did not move in formation within minutes. Military satellites confirmed the truth. Ships, hundreds of them, entering the solar system. The alien fleet's energy signatures didn't match any known species. In Council records, whoever they were coming in fast, and they weren't here to talk. In the main underground command bunker under Antarctica, alarms echoed through the cold steel halls. Men and women in black uniforms rushed to their stations. The giant holographic map lit up, showing the solar system with red dots moving inward. The commander of Earth Defense, General Rains, stood at the center. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "Are we certain they're hostile?" he asked. A young officer nodded, her voice tight. "They've scanned our planet 3 times already, and they're charging weapons, sir." Rains looked at the other leaders gathered in the room. "Then the question is, do we reveal what we've been building?" He said slowly. Silence filled the bunker for years. Their greatest advantage had been secrecy. If they deployed the hidden weapons now, the whole galaxy would know Earth was not as weak as it looked. But if they waited too long, the alien fleet could burn entire cities before they had a chance to fight back. Above them, life went on as normal. Children slept in warm beds, unaware that death was racing toward them through the cold void of space. The streets were lit with soft lights. Lovers walked hand in hand. No one knew that in less than a week, the skies might turn black with fire. In the quiet suburbs, people dreamed of the future, not realizing that the future itself might not survive the month in space. The alien fleet drew closer. Their ships were sleek and sharp, built for speed and killing power. Inside their command vessel, alien voices hissed in their own tongue. They had heard of Earth only as a minor prize. An easy target on the edge of the spiral arm. They laughed at the thought of how quickly the humans would surrender. But there was one thing they did not know. Humans were not prey. Not anymore. Back in the bunker, the decision was made. General Rains gave a single order. His voice like steel, activate Project Goliath. The words echoed in the cold air, and deep beneath the oceans, enormous shapes began to wake. Metal groaned, lights flickered on, and long-hidden engines roared to life for the first time above the Pacific. The calm waves shifted as something massive rose slowly toward the surface. The night was about to end, and Earth was about to show the galaxy what it was truly capable of, far from Earth, in the golden heart of the galaxy. The Galactic Council's central chamber glittered with light. It was a place where thousands of voices from hundreds of species argued every single day. The air smelled of strange spices from alien worlds. The walls shimmered with energy fields. And the great dome above showed a map of the galaxy in real time. Every star, every fleet, every moving trade convoy, all recorded and watched. And yet, on this day, something unusual appeared on the map. A small blue icon at the edge of the spiral arm Earth. Most council members ignored it to them. Earth was just a Class 4 world, barely capable of space travel. Still playing with primitive engines, but a few sharp-eyed observers noticed the sudden activity in its orbit. Energy spikes, faint but unusual. And encrypted transmissions bouncing between the moon and deep space. The Council's Information Guild flagged it as minor, irregular movement. But they didn't erase it. Something about the patterns was unsettling. At the high table, Supreme Moderator Altheon tapped his clawed fingers against the surface. "What is this anomaly?" he asked in a deep, slow voice. A thin, bird-like alien leaned forward, her feathers twitching nervously. "It comes from a backwater system. Sol, inhabited by the humans," she said. That name stirred faint memory among the older members. Some had heard of humans, most had not. Those who remembered told quiet stories of a race that had survived ice ages, global wars, and even wiped out their own predators. But in the grand scale of the galaxy, humans were still considered too small to matter. One counselor laughed, a wide-mouthed creature with glowing eyes. "They are barely out of their caves. Let them burn themselves with their little toys," he said. The chamber chuckled, but not everyone joined in. At the far end, an ancient voice spoke, slow and deliberate. It belonged to historian MHR. A species so old that their homeworld's mountains were older than most civilizations in the room. He had studied humanity's history more than any other alien alive. "Do not laugh," MHR warned. "I have read the records of their wars. I have seen the pattern." The room quieted slightly, though a few still smirked. "What pattern?" asked Altheon, tilting his head. Embre's voice was like wind over stone. "They fight among themselves until a greater enemy appears. And when that happens, they unite with a force unlike anything else. They are stubborn, unpredictable, and they adapt too quickly. If they are moving ships now, it means they already know what is coming." The room murmured with unease. The Council did not like unpredictable species. Unpredictability meant danger. Before they could discuss further, the doors of the chamber opened and a silver-armored messenger entered. He bowed before the moderator. Holding a glowing data sphere. "Report from Outer Patrol Fleet Delta," he announced. Altheon took the sphere, pressed it to the table, and the hologram flared to life. It showed a fleet of unknown design entering the Sol system. Sleek black ships with curved hulls and sharp fins, moving in perfect formation. Gasps filled the room. These were not council ships, nor any recognized ally. They were hunters, and they were heading straight for Earth. Some counselors laughed again. "Then the humans will be someone else's problem," one said with a grin, but others shifted uncomfortably. If a non-Council fleet was operating so deep in Council territory, it meant trouble. And if humans survived this encounter, their rise could upset the balance of power. The debate grew heated, voices echoing under the dome. Some demanded that the Council send peace envoys to warn the humans. Others argued to let the attackers wipe them out and save the galaxy from a potential threat. Through it all, historian M. Veer sat in silence, his eyes fixed on the hologram. He had seen this before, long ago, in another part of the galaxy. A small, underestimated race attacked by a greater power, and the greater power lost everything. While the Council argued, somewhere in the shadows above the chamber, agents of the Intelligence Directorate exchanged quiet messages. They had been watching Earth for years. Ever since the first human space probe had touched an alien listening post by accident. They knew humans were clever, too clever to remain primitive for long. Now, with unknown invaders closing in, the Directorate's orders were clear: watch, record, and learn exactly what the humans would do in another wing of the Council complex. The military chiefs met privately. They spoke in hushed tones, their voices low enough to avoid recording. One, a reptilian general, tapped his claws on the table. "If humans win this fight, we may not be able to control them later," he said. Another, a massive insectoid commander, hissed in agreement. "Perhaps we should intervene before they grow teeth." But no one could agree on a plan by the time their arguments ended. The alien fleet was already halfway to Earth, back in the Grand Chamber. The Supreme Moderator struck the table, sending a sharp echo across the room. "This is not our war," he declared. The Council voted to stay out of the conflict. No aid would be sent, no warnings delivered if the humans died. The galaxy would remain as it was if they survived. Well, the Council would deal with that problem later. High above the shining city that surrounded the Council Hall, small stealth probes launched into the void. They carried orders to observe from a distance. Their mission was not to help, only to watch. No one in the Council realized that this decision to stand aside would be remembered for centuries as their greatest mistake. And deep in the mind of historian M. Veer, a single thought grew louder. If the humans win, the galaxy will never be the same again. And something in his bones told him they would win. The alien fleet crossed the orbit of Neptune like a storm moving through calm water. Hundreds of dark ships glided forward in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the pale blue light of the distant sun. Each vessel was shaped like a blade, sharp and narrow. Built for speed and precision kills, they made no attempt to hide, no attempt to signal. They had come to hunt, and in their minds, Earth was already theirs. The lead ship, larger than the rest, carried the warlord Vecker. His species, the Krith, were known across the galaxy for striking without mercy. Vecker stood on his command deck, his 4 black eyes fixed on the holographic display of the solar system. His claws traced a slow circle around Earth's position. Primitive world. Minimal defenses, his second-in-command reported. Vecker's mouth curled in a cruel smile. "We'll burn their moons first. Then their oceans," he said. The crew laughed, the sound like grinding metal. But Earth was not sleeping. In the underground command center beneath Antarctica, General Rains and his officers watched the fleet's advance. The holographic map glowed with red markers, each one a hostile ship. They had crossed Neptune, now heading for Mars. "Deploy forward observers," Rains ordered, his voice steady. A series of confirmation lights blinked from the asteroid belt. Tiny black drones detached from hiding places inside hollowed rocks. They were invisible to alien sensors. Coated in light-bending armor, they slipped silently toward the incoming fleet. Hours later, the first images arrived. The alien ships were armed with heavy plasma cannons, advanced shields, and what appeared to be gravitational disruptors. Weapons designed to tear apart planetary defenses in seconds. There. Too well armed for a simple raiding party, one officer muttered. They're here for more than resources, Rains replied. They want to make an example. On Mars, human outposts went into lockdown. Colonists were ordered into underground shelters, surface patrols activated defense grids. Railguns rose from the red dust like the spines of some giant creature. Still, everyone knew the truth. Mars could not hold out against such a fleet alone. Its defenses were meant for pirates, not for a full-scale invasion. The aliens reached Mars orbit without slowing. Vecker gave the order. The first plasma salvo lit. Up the darkness, streaks of burning green energy ripping through the thin atmosphere. The surface shook as a mining facility on the edge of Valles Marineris was obliterated in a blinding flash. Alien crews cheered as their weapons recharged. They fired again, this time at a communication hub. But before the shots could hit, something unexpected happened. A ripple moved through space behind the alien formation. It was faint at first, almost like a distortion in the starlight. Then, without warning, hundreds of human drones decloaked. Each was small, fast, and armed with kinetic spike weapons, dense rods launched at near light speed. The first wave tore through the rear of the alien formation, punching holes clean through their hulls. 3 ships exploded instantly, their fragments spinning. Away into the void, Vecker roared in fury. Where did they come from? He demanded. On Earth, the command center came alive. Confirmed hits. Multiple enemy vessels destroyed, an operator reported. Rains nodded, but his expression remained cold. This is just the beginning, he said. He had no intention of letting the aliens regroup, order the Mars garrisons to activate the Titan guns. Beneath the Martian surface, enormous weapon platforms came to life. These were not standard planetary defenses. They were prototypes, huge railguns designed to launch projectiles the size of buses. Their barrels glowed as power built up, then, with a deafening release of energy, they fired. The projectiles crossed the distance to the alien fleet in seconds. 2 more enemy ships vanished in brilliant fireballs. But the Krith were not without skill. They adapted quickly, shifting formation. Bringing their shields forward, their plasma cannons unleashed a storm of return fire. 1 Titan gun was destroyed. The blast shaking the ground for kilometers. Mars burned in places, but it was not silent. The human defense network had drawn blood. And now it refused to let go. In the chaos, a second human trick unfolded. From the far side of Phobos, Mars's small moon, a concealed hangar door opened. A swarm of black fighter craft burst out. Each was a stealth interceptor armed with EMP. Warheads designed to fry alien systems. They darted in and out of the alien formation like insects around a predator. One by one, alien shields began to flicker and fail. When the shields dropped, the kinetic spikes finished the job. Back aboard. His flagship Vecker's smile was gone. His second-in-comm spoke nervously. Reports indicate. These humans are more prepared than expected. Vecker slammed his claw on the console. Then we break them with full force, he snarled. He ordered the fleet to charge directly toward Earth, leaving Mars smoldering in their wake. It was a mistake, but he didn't know it yet. Because as the alien fleet passed the asteroid belt, something massive stirred in the darkness. Hidden among the rocks were shapes so large they seemed like part of the asteroids themselves, until their engines ignited, casting cold blue light across the void. These were not drones, not fighters. These were warships, and they were human. The first battle had begun, and the galaxy was about to learn that Earth was no one's prey. The alien fleet tore through the asteroid belt like predators chasing prey. But the prey was not running. It was waiting, watching, and ready to strike, in the darkness between the asteroids. Massive shadows began to move. At first, the Krith. Ships thought they were pieces of rock drifting in space, but then faint blue lines appeared along their surfaces. glowing brighter with each passing second. Engines came alive, silent but powerful, pushing colossal shapes out of hiding. The Krith warlord Vecker narrowed his black eyes. "What are those?" he demanded. No one on his bridge had an answer. The shadows fully emerged, revealing hulls the size of small moons. They were unlike any design in the Council archives. Angular, plated with dark armor, bristling with weapons. Their surfaces bore no alien markings. Only one word in bold white letters on every side: Earth. The lead ship was larger than the rest, its forward section shaped like the jaw of some ancient predator. Energy radiated from its core, rippling through space like heat above desert. Sand in the Antarctic command bunker, General Rains stood at the center of the room. The live feed showed the awakening of Project Goliath. Years of secrecy, decades of construction, all leading to this moment. Bring them online, he ordered. Around the bunker, technicians moved quickly, activating systems buried deep in secure networks, miles away, in shipyards hidden inside hollow asteroids. More giants began to stir. Project Goliath was humanity's greatest secret. 12 warships so advanced that not even Earth's allies knew they existed. Each was armed with weapons no Council fleet had faced before. Kinetic lances that could punch through planetary shields, pulse cannons that tore matter apart on a molecular level, and the Aegis field, a defensive shield so dense it could deflect a sustained plasma barrage. They had been hidden for years, scattered across the asteroid belt, disguised as mining stations and abandoned colonies. On Vecker's flagship, alarms blared, sensors struggled. To scan the human warships, their armor absorbed most of the energy. "What are they?" one officer hissed. Vecker's claws dug into the railing. "They're nothing, just bigger targets," he growled. "Advance and destroy them." The Krith ships surged forward, weapons charging, but the humans didn't wait. The lead Goliath class warship, HSS Titan's Wrath, opened fire first. A single kinetic lance shot burst from its forward barrel. The projectile moved so fast that it tore space around it. Leaving a shimmering trail, it struck the nearest alien cruiser and passed. Straight through it, the ship split in half without an explosion. Drifting apart in eerie silence, the alien fleet wavered for a moment. They had never seen a weapon like that, but Vecker roared for them to press on. The Krith dreadnoughts unleashed a storm of plasma fire. Bolts slammed into the Titan's Wrath. But instead of exploding, they scattered across an invisible shield, sending ripples of blue light dancing across its hull. The Aegis field held firm from the asteroid shadows. The other 11 Goliath ships emerged, each one locked onto a target. Space lit up with streaks of white-hot metal and bursts of energy. Alien shields collapsed, hulls cracked open, and entire sections of the Krith fleet vanished in flashes of burning debris. Inside the Titan's Wrath, Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge. Her voice calm but cold. "Focus fire on their command ship," she ordered. Her crew obeyed without hesitation. Multiple Goliath lances converged on the flagship's shield. The energy barrier shimmered, struggled, then failed. The next volley punched through its hull, tearing a massive wound across its side. Vecker's bridge shook violently, systems sparked, and the lights dimmed. His crew shouted damage reports. Still, his pride refused to accept defeat. "Bring us closer," he roared. He thought that closing the distance would give his weapons a chance to break the human shields. But the humans had prepared for that too. From the belly of the Titan's Wrath, a new weapon deployed, the Helios Array, a rotating wide cannon that fired concentrated beams of solar energy. It drew power directly from captured sunlight stored in massive cells. When it fired, a golden-white beam cut across space. It passed through 3 enemy ships in a single sweep, their hulls melting like wax under a flame. The Krith fleet began to break formation. Some ships retreated, others tried to flank, but the humans adapted instantly. Smaller escort ships emerged from behind the Goliath's advanced frigates and interceptors armed with railguns and missile pods. They darted between the massive warships, hunting down stragglers every time an alien tried to regroup. Another human ship was there to shatter the attempt. In the Council's distant observation posts, alien analysts watched in stunned silence. This was not the image they had of Earth, a weak, isolated planet barely able to defend itself. What they saw now was a fully armed military power capable of facing a top-tier war fleet head-on. And winning, within 30 minutes, half of Vecker's fleet was gone. The rest scattered, retreating toward the edge of the solar system, but the humans did not pursue, not yet. This was not just about victory, it was about sending a message. The galaxy needed to see what would happen to anyone who thought Earth was easy prey. On the Titan's wrath, Captain Voss sent a short transmission to all surviving enemy ships. Her words were calm, but each one carried the weight of iron. You came for us, thinking we were weak. Now you know the truth. Run and tell the galaxy what you've seen. And as the crippled alien flagship limped away into the darkness, the galaxy's perception of Earth began to change forever. The battle was over, but its echoes traveled faster than light from the asteroid belt to the galactic core. Whispers of what had happened near Earth spread like wildfire. The official reports from the Council's observation probes were classified. But secrets in the galaxy never stayed hidden for long. Smugglers told the story first, passing it from port to port. A primitive world had destroyed one of the Krith's strongest fleets by the time the tale reached the outer colonies. It had grown larger. Some said Earth's ships could fire weapons that bent time. Others claimed humans had tamed black holes and turned them into engines. In the Galactic Council's Great Chamber, the mood had changed. Only days ago, Earth was an afterthought, a name spoken with mild amusement. Now, the Council members spoke. It in hushed voices, their tones filled with uncertainty. Holoscreens replayed fragments of the battle, colossal human warships emerging from asteroid shadows. Alien cruisers splitting apart with surgical precision. The sight made even the most arrogant counselors shift uncomfortably in their seats. The Krith delegation did not attend, their absence speaking louder than any words. In the private halls of the Intelligence Directorate, agents studied every frame of footage. They analyzed the Goliath-class warships, trying to guess how long Earth had been building them. How did they hide something this big from the Council? One analyst asked. His superior only shook her head. However they did it right under our sensors, she replied. And if they could hide this, what else are they hiding? On the fringe worlds, the news hit differently. For generations, smaller colonies had lived under the shadow of stronger empires. They paid heavy taxes, sent tribute fleets, and bent to the will of powers like the Krith. Now, for the first time, they saw hope. If Earth, a so-called backwater, could stand up to a major galactic power and win, maybe they could too. Messages began arriving at human diplomatic channels. Some were cautious offers of trade. Others were direct pleas for military alliance. Rebel leaders in distant systems sent encrypted transmissions, promising loyalty in exchange for protection. The human diplomats forwarded everything to the silent council on Earth. The debate was intense. Some argued that Earth should remain hidden, guarding its strength. Others believed this was the moment to step into the galaxy as a full power. Meanwhile, in the Krith homeworld's war halls, the humiliation burned deep. Warlord Vecker had survived, but his return was not celebrated. Instead, he faced the fury of his own ruling council. They demanded an explanation for the loss. Vecker blamed human trickery, claiming the battle was won by cowardly ambushes. But even his own commanders knew the truth. The humans had simply outclassed them. The Krith swore revenge, but they needed time to rebuild, and they knew that when they returned, Earth would be even stronger. Back on Earth, the mood was tense, but proud. The people now knew what had happened. The government could not hide the battle forever. News feeds showed footage of the Goliath warships, and for the first time, humanity saw the scale of its own power. Crowds filled city streets, waving banners, some calling for peace, others demanding the destruction of the Krith once and for all in the military's hidden shipyards. Production lines roared to life. New Goliath-class hulls began construction alongside fleets of smaller escort ships. Earth's leaders knew that the first battle had been a warning. The galaxy would not ignore them now. In the Council's neutral zones, traders reported something stranger. Krith patrol routes had changed, avoiding certain sectors near human space. Pirate activity in the outer belt had dropped sharply. Word was that even raiders didn't want to poke the humans. It was a small shift, but the pattern was clear. Power in the galaxy was tilting, and Earth was now part of the balance. Historian MFA, who had warned the Council before the attack, watched the reports from his private chamber. He saw the footage of the battle, the retreating Krith ships, and the rising human fleets. In his old eyes, this was only the beginning. They will not stop now, he murmured to himself. They will grow, they will adapt, and when the next war comes, they will not just defend, they will lead. The silent council on Earth met one last time before making its decision. They sat in a secure chamber beneath the oceans, their faces lit by the glow of holographic star maps. The choice before them was simple but heavy: remain hidden, or take their place in the open as a galactic power. General Rains broke the silence. If we stay hidden, we wait for the next enemy to find us. If we step forward, we shape the galaxy before it shapes us. One by one, the votes came in. The choice was made. The next day, a transmission went out across every council channel. It carried the seal of Earth and the voice of its chosen leader. To the worlds of the galaxy, you have seen our strength. We did not seek this war, but we will finish any war brought to our skies. We offer friendship to those who seek it, and we offer warning to those who do not. In that moment, the galaxy understood Earth was no longer a quiet backwater planet. It was a rising force. And the turning tide had begun. Weeks after the Krith defeat, the galaxy looked different. Trade lanes shifted, patrol routes changed, and even the most arrogant council members spoke Earth's name with caution. In the past, humans were outsiders, but now their presence was felt in places they had never been before. In the asteroid belt, massive shipyards worked day and night. The Goliath-class warships that had shocked the galaxy were no longer a secret. New hulls took shape under layers of armored plating. Escorts, frigates, and stealth corvettes swarmed around them, training for the next conflict. Human engineers tested upgraded weapons, faster railguns, stronger Aegis fields, and experimental weapons that bent light itself. They knew the Krith would return, and they knew the next enemy might be even worse. On the diplomatic front, Earth moved with precision. Delegates arrived in distant systems, bringing offers of trade and protection. Some worlds were skeptical, but others saw the opportunity. Small colonies, long ignored by the Council, began signing defense pacts with Earth. In return, they provided resources, intelligence, and safe harbors for human fleets. The Silent Council had decided Earth would not wait for threats to come. It would shape the galaxy before the galaxy shaped it. But not everyone welcomed humanity's rise in the Krith homeworld. Warlord Vecker's defeat had become a rallying cry for revenge. Krith shipyards doubled production. Training camps overflowed with soldiers. The pain of humiliation burned hotter than any plasma cannon. They swore that when they came back, they would not leave a single human city standing in the councils. Private chambers, unease grew. Some feared that Earth's growing alliances would split the galaxy into rival factions. Others saw humans as a stabilizing force, capable of keeping pirates and warlords in check. But even those who liked the idea of human power could not ignore their unpredictability. Humans adapted too fast, changed their strategies too quickly. In a galaxy built on centuries-old traditions, such rapid evolution was dangerous. Meanwhile, human fleets began patrolling trade routes in nearby sectors. Pirates, who once raided at will, now found themselves hunted in one daring operation. Human strike group liberated a mining colony from a notorious slaver gang. The footage of cheering miners under the protection of armored human soldiers spread across the networks. Public opinion on dozens of worlds shifted overnight. Earth was no longer seen as a primitive outsider. It was a protector, a potential leader inside the Titan's wrath. Captain Alara Voss received new orders. Her fleet was to escort a convoy of alien diplomats to a neutral zone for peace talks. It was the first time human warships would openly enter Council-controlled space without secrecy. The journey was tense. Every station they passed stared at the Goliath warships, their massive shadows blotting out starlight. No one dared to challenge them, but everyone watched in the neutral zone. The Council held a gathering unlike any before. Humans sat at the main table, their flag beside the banners of ancient powers. Some delegates smiled politely, others avoided eye contact. When Earth's ambassador spoke, the chamber fell silent. "We are not here to rule," he said, "but we will not bow. We will work with those who seek peace. And we will stand against those who bring war." The words were simple, but they carried the weight of the battle at the asteroid belt. Yet in the shadows beyond the Council's light, something else was moving, deep in uncharted space. Far past the rim, an ancient fleet stirred from slumber. Its ships were massive and jagged, their hulls covered in strange glyphs. They were older than the Council itself, and they had received the same whispers that reached every corner of the galaxy. The humans had risen. To them, this was not a warning, but a challenge. Back on Earth, the Silent Council received a cryptic transmission. It came from a remote listening post on the edge of human space. The signal contained only 3 words, repeated again and again: "They are coming." No one knew who they were, but in the hearts of those who had faced war, the meaning was clear. Another test was on the horizon. General Rains stood in the war room, looking at the star maps now marked with new potential threats. "We cannot wait," he said. "We will strengthen every fleet, secure every ally, and prepare for a war bigger than anything we have faced." His voice was not one of fear, but of certainty. Humanity had tasted victory, but it had also learned that victory brought attention, and attention in the galaxy was both a weapon and a curse. As the meeting ended, the great shipyards continued their work. Massive frames of future Goliath warships floated in the void. New engines hummed, weapons charged, and shields shimmered in testing fields. The humans were ready to protect their home and to defend any world that stood with them. The galaxy had seen the first chapter of Earth's power. Now, the rise of the new power had begun. And somewhere in the cold darkness, unseen eyes watched, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The stars over Earth were calm, but everyone knew the peace would not last. The shipyards still roared, the fleet still trained, and deep space probes still searched the edges of human space. The galaxy watched in silence, waiting to see what humans would do next. In the Antarctic command bunker, the Silent Council gathered for one final decision. Not about weapons, not about alliances, but about words. They had fought and won against the Krith. They had built the most feared warships in living memory. Now they had to decide what message to send to the galaxy. Was it to be a threat, a warning, or an invitation? The weight of that choice was heavier than any weapon. General Rains stood. his uniform dark against the glow of the star map. "We have been underestimated for centuries," he began. "They thought we were too small, too weak, too far from the center to matter. But they came for us, and we are still here. The question is, do we speak only to our enemies, or to every soul in the galaxy?" Around the table, opinions clashed. Some argued for a hard warning, a statement that would make any who considered attacking Earth think twice. Others believed in showing strength with an open hand, to win allies through respect instead of fear. The debate went on for hours. At last, the council voted, and the decision was made. The transmission began the next day. Every major communication hub across the galaxy picked up the signal at the same time. From the shining cities of the Council's core worlds to the mining colonies on the far rim. Even the Krith homeworld could not block it. The signal opened with a view of Earth from orbit. The blue oceans and green lands turning slowly against the black of space. A voice spoke steady, clear, human, to the worlds of the galaxy. "You may have heard the stories. You may have heard that a backwater world destroyed a Krith war fleet. You may have heard that we built warships bigger than any you have seen. Those stories are true. But they are not the whole truth." The image shifted, showing the battle over the asteroid belt. Goliath-class warships emerging from shadows, alien ships splitting apart, the Krith flagship retreating. "We did not fight because we wanted to. We fought because we had no choice. You brought your war to our home, and we answered." The footage changed again, this time showing human soldiers escorting freed miners, medical ships treating alien civilians, convoys delivering food to allied colonies. This is also who we are. We protect those who stand with us. We honor our allies. We do not start wars, but we will end them in the council chambers. Delegates watched with mixed emotions. Some were impressed, others unsettled. But none could deny that this was no longer the voice of a weak, forgotten planet. This was the voice of a power that had proven itself in battle. The human voice continued. "To those who think of attacking us, remember the Krith fleet. To those who need a friend, remember our gates are open. We will not bow, we will not break, we will not vanish into the dark again." On the Krith homeworld, the message played in silence. Warlord Vecker sat in his war chair, his claws digging into the armrests. He saw the retreat of his own fleet. Replayed in front of billions, the humiliation burned deeper than before. He swore under his breath that the day would come when those words would be silenced, but even he knew the galaxy had heard them. And the galaxy would remember, in faraway colonies. The message inspired hope on worlds long abandoned by the Council. Banners of Earth began to appear on market walls, on pirate stations. Smugglers whispered that humans were bad for business, too hard to intimidate, too quick to fight back, and in the uncharted reaches beyond the rim. An ancient fleet received the message as well. Their leaders listened in silence, their unreadable eyes fixed on the image of Earth. To them, it was not a warning, it was a challenge back on Earth. The silent council ended the broadcast. For a moment, the command room was quiet. General Rains looked out at the holographic star map, its thousands of points of light marking worlds, both friendly and hostile. He knew the message would shape the next century. It could bring allies, or it could bring enemies faster than they were ready for. But one thing was certain, the galaxy could never again pretend that Earth did not matter. Above the planet, the Goliath-class warships patrolled in steady orbits. Their hulls caught the sunlight, gleaming like the teeth of some vast predator. Every world that saw them knew what they meant. Earth was no longer prey, it was a hunter, and its voice had just reached every corner of the stars.